You pay $6 for a latte. You think someone here is printing money. That instinct is exactly backwards. Understanding why is the entire education you need. Before you sign a lease, learn the real machine. Because Starbucks isn't selling coffee at all. It's running a bank wearing an apron. Every gift card is a tiny loan to a giant. And most of that loan never gets called in. That's the real business hiding behind the espresso. And first, the hard truth. You cannot buy a franchise. Not in America, not in Britain, not in Canada. No contract exists for an independent owner. Starbucks decided that decades ago on purpose. Over 41,000 stores, 0 franchises, so who actually profits from every cup sold? Revenue splits into 3 separate rivers. Company-owned stores, licensed stores, royalties. Company stores alone pull in over $30 billion. That's 83 cents of every dollar earned. Licensed stores add several billion more. New airports, hotels, grocery aisles, all licensed. The last river is quieter. Packaged coffee royalties. A Nestle partnership, paying out on autopilot. Now open 1 cup. Follow where $6 goes. Beans cost about a quarter of that cup. And milk costs maybe 20 cents. Syrup adds another 20 cents or so. Cup, lid, sleeve together cost about 20 cents. All physical materials, under $1 total. Less than 15% of what you paid. So where does the other $5 go? Almost $2 pays the barista's wage. $1.20 covers rent on prime real estate. Starbucks only builds where rent is expensive. Utilities eat another 30-some cents. Machines wear down. Depreciation takes its share. Taxes and overhead quietly take the rest. Add it up. The drink costs about $4.50 to make. The store keeps roughly $1.50 per cup. That's a 25% margin on paper. In reality, it's a volume game, not a margin game. Rent doesn't care how many cups you sell. Fixed costs demand a fixed flood of customers. Miss the flood, and the math turns against you. So why do people keep paying a premium anyway? Because Starbucks isn't selling caffeine. It's selling the removal of a decision. You already know the menu before you walk in. You already know the taste before you order. Seattle, London, Tokyo, identical experience. That sameness is worth more than the coffee. There's also a quieter transaction happening. Carrying that cup signals something about you. Employed, busy, part of a certain daily rhythm. Economists call it the social value of consumption. It's why people skip a faster, cheaper option. Then there's a pricing trick built into the menu. Tall, grande, venti, 3 sizes, 1 purpose. Grande to venti costs barely 30 cents more. Suddenly the biggest size feels nearly free. That's the decoy effect, engineered on purpose. The middle size exists just to make you upsize. Now look at where the buildings themselves sit. Location isn't chosen, it's calculated. Stores go on the morning commute side of the road. Put it on the wrong side and sales leak away. A U-turn home is friction customers won't take. Software maps drive time and walk time first. Urban stores need a 5 to 15-minute walk. And suburban stores need a 5 to 10-minute drive. Median income near $60,000 makes it work. Sometimes 2 stores sit blocks from each other. That's not a mistake. It's coverage, not competition. Each store catches a different stream of feet. The goal is leaving no gap for a rival to fill. So why refuse franchising this whole time? One word explains it: control. A franchisee has their own pressures, their own math. They might water down milk to save a few cents. They might skip training to save a few hours. One bad location and customers blame the brand. Not the owner. The brand takes the damage. Owning every store means owning every standard. Same water filter schedule, same espresso timing. Same seasonal menu launching the same day, everywhere. When leadership orders a change, it happens fast. In a franchise system, that change takes years. Sometimes it never happens at all. Direct ownership buys something else too. Loyalty. Partners working 20 hours a week get real benefits. Medical coverage, stock options, tuition paid in full. A franchise network can rarely match that offer. It takes corporate scale to fund benefits like these. Not every store is company-owned, though. Licensing isn't franchising. The difference matters. A licensed partner pays an upfront fee first, then funds the entire build-out themselves, then pays a royalty of 6 to 8% monthly. They get the name, the supply chain, the rules. Airports run licensed kiosks through concession giants. Hotels run licensed cafes in their own lobbies. Big retailers run licensed counters near the entrance. The host pays every capital cost, every wage. Starbucks collects royalties, owns no furniture. A low-risk stream stacked on top of the real business. Step inside a company store and watch the clock. Morning rush starts early, peaks within 2 hours. Every second during that window is throughput. Baristas aren't crafting art. They're running a sequence. By late morning, the store pivots toward food. A $4 coffee becomes a $9 ticket. Afternoon traffic shifts younger, more customized. By evening, it's machines, cleaning, closing checklists, and skip maintenance, and a $40,000 machine falters. The store lives or dies on volume, not markup. Labor is the single biggest expense in this business. It swallows nearly half of total store revenue. The average wage sits near $19 an hour. Some cities push that above $20 easily. Add benefits, and total pay tops $30 an hour. Yet thousands of workers have voted to unionize. They want higher floors and guaranteed staffing minimums. Predictable schedules matter too for keeping benefits. The company disputes some claims, but tension is real. Higher wages shrink margin. Understaffing loses customers. Threading that needle is harder than it looks. Now, the most brilliant part has nothing to do with coffee. The Rewards app is quietly a financial product. Money loaded onto it becomes a liability on the books. Nearly $2 billion sits there unspent. That's an interest-free loan from millions of customers. Some of that money never gets spent at all. Forgotten balances eventually get recognized as revenue. No ingredients needed, no labor, no rent required. It's just money that quietly stopped coming back. The app also slashes payment processing costs. Sunja's preload replaces 10 small card swipes. Multiply that across billions of transactions yearly. But the business isn't as stable as the lines suggest. Start with the bean itself. Arabica coffee. Starbucks buys a slice of the entire global crop. It sources from hundreds of thousands of farmers. It even runs its own research farm in Costa Rica. None of that controls the weather, though. Brazil alone grows a third of the world's Arabica. Drought or frost there, and prices spike violently. Recent tariffs pushed futures near historic highs. Years ago, fixed contracts locked in safer prices. That hedging shrank dramatically in recent years. Now prices swing with the market for better or worse. Add labor uncertainty on top of commodity risk. No union contract has been settled yet. Every unresolved quarter keeps that risk alive. Then there's China, once the biggest growth engine. Local rivals undercut prices and won over customers. Chinese operations are now being restructured for sale. A retreat from what was meant to be the future. So what does one healthy store actually generate? Roughly $1.8 million in yearly revenue. Ingredients and supply chain eat about a third. Payroll and benefits take another large slice. Prime rent alone runs 6 figures a year. Or utilities, upkeep, and marketing take more still. What's left is around $400,000 in profit. Building a new store costs about the same amount. Meaning payback happens in roughly 2 years. That's why ownership beat franchising for decades. Now picture 2 different versions of that year. Good year, prices calm, mornings busy, sales grow. Profit holds near $400,000, reliably. Bad year. Bean prices spike. A rival opens nearby. Wages rise. Comparable sales fall for months straight. Profit can drop below half of what was expected. Multiply that swing across 18,000 stores. One shift in comparable sales moves billions industry-wide. So how does an outsider actually get in on this? Large operators can apply for a licensed agreement. Hospitals, universities, airports, hotel chains qualify. You fund the build-out, you pay the royalty monthly. It's not a path for someone wanting one small shop. For everyone else, there's simply the stock itself. Owning shares means owning a claim on all of it. No staff to manage, no machine to calibrate. Less thrilling than owning a store, but very real. The real lesson was never about the price of coffee. It's about why people keep paying it anyway. Coffee is the trigger. Routine is the actual product. The loyalty app turned affection into interest-free capital. Corporate ownership turned control into consistent quality. Licensing turned brand equity into royalties. No risk. This was never a coffee company at all. It was always a habit company, wearing an apron. The people who do well in this business aren't the ones chasing the coffee. They're the ones who understand the habit as closely as they understand the cup.